is that it was actually a bug. So Capcom did not intend you to be able to do this delayed tick throw. Like that. And so what they did is Capcom actually patched this out of the game. They removed this from Alex's kit, but thankfully Capcom did eventually realize that actually this is kind of cool, unique character tech, and it's actually really hard to do consistently. Like, even the pro players struggle to reliably hit the timing for this, because it's basically like a manually timed link. And if you fuck it up, then you're stuck in command grab recovery point blank for like 2 seconds. Capcom did eventually cave, and they re-added this into the game as like intentional tech. But it's a good example of like the classic Street Fighter thing of like what is originally a glitch eventually turning into like intentional design philosophy. Going all the way back to Street Fighter 2, the whole concept of like special cancelling and combos was basically a glitch. They didn't mean for that stuff to happen, but it ended up defining the entire genre. So this is kind of like that. Mistakes into miracles. So by the end of Season 1, Alex had not made a splash in this game, and he was considered one of the weakest characters in the game, and he was basically just a crouch medium punch dispenser. So Alex players were hotly anticipating buffs in the Season 2 update, and to reward them for their patience, Alex got nerfed in Season 2. Kind of, sort of. He got a handful of like okay buffs in Season 2, but Capcom also heavily nerfed crouching medium punch, which, like I said, this was his best button. It went from 7 frames startup to 8 frames. It gained 2 more frames of whiff recovery. It lost an active frame. And the buffs that he got in return didn't really change much. There were a few minor tweaks to his combos and stuff like that. The one thing that did get buffed is his lariat. This move right here. This is forward heavy punch. This is lariat. So they let this now link into stand medium punch. And this was the start of another Alex meme. So, from Season 2 onwards, there was a running joke in this game that every single balance patch, Alex would get small incremental buffs to nothing relevant except for lariat. This thing. So just to make clear how good this button is, on hit, he gets full combos out of this thing. And on block, as of the final version of this game, this was +4 on block. Also, this thing's a crush counter, so if he catches you pressing, it links into itself. Like, if you got in your opponent's face, you could just do this, and it was terrifying. You would also assume, based on the animation, that this thing probably whiffs on crouches, and you would be wrong. So this was one of the best pressure normals in the game, up close. But unfortunately, like I said, Alex just didn't really have that much going for him. He was also very awkward to use, and a lot of his hit confirms were very finicky. Stuff would like drop at range a lot of the time. I feel like what it was that Capcom really had no idea what to do with Alex, and they just kept saying, you know, fuck it, more lariat buffs. So, in Season 2, this thing went from being +5 to +6, and then in Season 3, it went from being +6 to +7, and it also gained an active frame, so it was easier to use as a meaty. Then in Season 3.5, they also made it special cancelable, like that, which, by the way, this was a massive improvement to his combos. It's easy to forget, this thing wasn't always special cancelable, but it let him combo into heavy chop without any requirements. It also gave him some really high damage combos that relied on good execution. So, let me see if I can still do this. Oh yeah, also Alex's crouching animation. I forgot to mention this as well. Can we talk about how, like, his head retreats into his body like a turtle? That's very weird looking. There we go. That was the combo. As I mentioned earlier, Alex has charge specials, and this move is forward plus heavy punch. And if you do, like, some quite complicated charge techniques, you can actually combo forward heavy punch into heavy elbow. Like that, which is actually required for some of his high damage combos. So that was a big upgrade to his max damage, but it also made him, like, fairly high execution by this game's standards. Also, there's the super. Plant you like a tree. Do heavy punch, dive kick normal? Oh yeah. The dive punch. One of the weirdest normals in the game. This also exists in Third Strike, and it's not completely useless. It does alter his jump trajectory a little bit, so this can be used to like fake out certain anti-airs. The thing about Alex's dive, and the thing that I think every single dive kick in all of Street Fighter should have, is this move on block, as opposed to most dive kicks, which are like -4 or -5 if misspaced. Alex's dive is -27 on block, and not cancelable into anything. I used to love it when Alex players would do this, by the way. I'm going to switch to Oro for like 2 seconds because I just want to show you this. Every time I boot up Street Fighter 5 is an excuse to sneak Oro in there. Capcom, bring him back. Season 4 DLC. Oro, let's go. Anyway, anytime I blocked an Alex player trying to use this dive, there we go, first time, trust me. So yeah, as an Oro player, I loved it when Alex players would use the dive punch because I could do 75% punishes on it. But anyway, that's just the necessary Oro sidetrack every time I boot up Street Fighter 5. Alex outfit change? Alright, I'll save you guys the stress of having to look at his French fry hair. Eventually they gave him the much superior nostalgia costume, which actually fixed his hair. Like, look at this. The difference is night and day. It honestly feels like Capcom was like, okay, we fucked up. This is what he should have looked like. It almost looks like a mod. This looks like someone modded Alex to, like, fix him. You've got the good Alex on the left and French fry Alex on the right. So just to cover his unique V system real quick, I talked about how his V skill 1 lets him, like, get a forced counter hit on the next hit. His V skill 2 makes it so that he can cancel the next special move into another special move. So, for example, like, you could do stuff like this. And this is really good because his EX Stomp was plus on block. So once you had V skill 2 charged, you could literally just yeet in from full screen. And then give yourself plus frames. And in terms of his V triggers, V trigger 1, it's a weird thing where, like, you hold the buttons and he'll do like a charged sledgehammer thing. And if you hit him while he's in this stance, he will actually parry incoming hits. He has like a weird parry in this game. So for example, you could do stuff like that. And this doesn't really require any timing in this game. You basically just mash heavy punch and heavy kick and you just parry everything. This was a combo tool as well. And you could also cancel it into backdrop, same as his flash chop. And the other thing to say about this is that it didn't happen very much because it was basically just a knowledge check. But if you full charge this thing, it actually becomes a guard break, like an unblockable. So that's technically an unblockable, but like no one is going to get hit by this who hasn't been playing for a while. Especially once they added V-Shift to the game. He did have a couple of things where you could do like sweep activate and then do this as like a meaty unblockable, but it was not very good. You could do stuff like that, but most of the time you're not going to hit a full charge counter hit sledgehammer. So V-Trigger 2 gives Alex his famous spiral DDT. Now, I didn't mention this move. This is a command grab that also exists in Third Strike, the DDT. And the reason that I didn't mention it in Third Strike is because in that game, it's one of the worst moves in the entire game. It's a sort of diving command grab, but it has like no range and a horrible hitbox in that game. Thankfully in this game, DDT is actually worth using because, first of all, it grabs you from like 2/3 screen and gives you really good Oki afterwards. But the other thing is, this can be comboed into in this game, so you can do stuff like this. And then this gives Alex amazing Oki. You can't backroll this. It's like a hard knockdown, or this game's version of a hard knockdown. So anytime Alex lands a hit with level 2 active, he gets like the best Oki possible with DDT. There's also a second thing, the sleeper hold, which is this. Yeah. So if you press down, you get the sleeper hold instead of the DDT. And the difference here is the DDT whiffs on crouches, so you have to be a little bit careful when you're using it in combos. But the sleeper hold works on crouches, it does less damage, but it also leaves you slightly closer, I think. But generally the DDT is the best thing. The other thing that's worth mentioning is I think Lariat forces stand on hit. Yes. So even if your opponent is crouching, as long as you start the combo with his best pressure normal, you can always end with the DDT into Oki. So this was a good V-trigger. It didn't start out very good, but it ended up being probably the superior V-trigger by the end. So speaking of like Alex's evolution over the course of this game, the buffs did actually start to compound after a while. Like, here's the thing that a lot of people don't know about Street Fighter V Alex, is that this character was actually good by the end of this game. I feel like a lot of people stopped paying attention to Street Fighter V in the last year or two. A lot of people started like looking forward to Street Fighter 6 and dropped this game. But in the final version of Street Fighter V, I think Alex was a good character. Not like top tier, but I think he was definitely in the top half of the roster by the end. But he needed character specialists to take advantage of it. Oh yeah, and before I move on real quick, just one last thing. Speaking of the buffs that he got over the seasons, I mentioned earlier how his anti-airs were kind of finicky and unreliable. They completely eliminated that weakness from this character towards the end. One of the reasons why he became a decent character in like season 5 of this game is because Capcom finally caved after years of pressure and made his DP, this thing, an actual DP in terms of anti-airs. So for the longest time, the knee drop was not actually air invincible. This thing could lose or trade with jump-ins. But in the last couple of balance patches of this game, they made it so the EX knee was finally frame 1 air invincible. And it actually has a really good hitbox. Like, you can anti-air people from miles away with this thing.